Morning students, today I will discuss So Many Hungers, a novel by Bhabani Bhattacharya. First of all, I will discuss its caption with you. The title of the novel is So Many Hungers, and there is a sign of exclamation at the end of the caption. Now the first question that comes to our mind is, why has the writer put a sign of exclamation at the end of the caption? This is a question which has got its answer in it. Actually, the writer wonders at the multiple meaning of hunger. Hunger has got various dimensions, and all these shades of hunger have been beautifully captured in the novel by the novelist. The novelist is of the view that hunger has a lot of meanings. There is a hunger for food, there is a hunger for body, there is a hunger for power, there is a hunger for freedom, and there is a hunger for money. And all these various dimensions of hunger have been beautifully discussed in the novel. This novel is written in the backdrop of 1943 Bengal famine and World War II. At that time, India was under the control of the British. In other words, at that time, India was a colony of the British. World War II was going on, and a famine took place in Bengal. Famine created a lot of trouble for the poor people, and it is also alleged that it is a man-made famine. The British and their agents tricked the poor villagers and bought crops and boats from them. When the crisis lingered, the poor villagers were left with no food. It led to migration to cities, which ultimately devastated the poor people of Bengal. So in this way, the writer has tried to make it clear that the Britishers are responsible for the death of poor people of Bengal. There is another dimension in which the writer has clearly described the hunger for money. And this dimension has been reflected through Soumendra Basu. Soumendra Basu lives in Calcutta. He's a successful businessman. He knows the art of making money, and he is a very big supporter of the British. He wants that the war should continue and it should prolong so that he can maximize his profit out of this crisis. He invests money in stock market. He knows that the stocks of silver, cotton and jute are going to shoot up. Their value is going to go up in the days to come, because he knows that the government needs silver to make bullets, they need cotton for shroud, and they also need jute as bags to keep provisions for the soldiers who are fighting for them at different locations. So he actually wants to make profit out of this crisis. His son Rahul, who is an astrophysicist and a professor in a Calcutta University, is a very different type of man. He is an intellectual. But he, unlike his father, never supports the British. He wants that the narrative that the British has built up, that they are fighting to restore democracy in the world, is sham, is a trick. They are trying to befool the Indian people. It is ironical that the British are ruling over India. They are themselves behaving like dictators, and they're talking about the restoration of democracy in the rest of the world. So Rahul has not been swept away by this particular narrative of the British. Rather, he was against it. There is a reason behind it. His grandfather, Devat, is a Gandhian. He has left his son because he knows that his son is corrupt and he's anti-Indian. He lives in a village and he supports the villagers. When the British government tried to trick the villagers in buying their crops and boats, he was the first one to go against this decision of the government. The villagers believed in him, they too supported him. Rahul has inherited these positive traits from his grandfather, Devat. Now, in this way, the writer has contrasted two characters. One is Samendra Basu and other is Rahul. Rahul is a nationalist. Samendra Basu is a traitor. He is every inch a loyal soldier of the British. But Rahul doesn't think like this. Rahul doesn't want to make profit out of the crisis, but Samendra Basu is a corrupt man who wants that the war should prolong so that he can gain maximum profit out of this crisis. Devat, on the other hand, is a true Gandhian who leads a simple life and fights for the rights of the farmers and common Indians. He is totally against the decision of the British government to recruit the poor Indians as soldiers to fight the British war. He doesn't support this particular idea. But on the other hand, his son, Samendra Basu, is a big supporter of this idea. He even wants that his son, Rahul, should invent a bomb which should help the British government to win war. So he is driven by such kind of evil thinking. Now, the scene of the novel shifts to rural Bengal, which is rocked by famine. What happens in the rural Bengal actually is the story of a small village, Brownie. There's a girl, Kajoli, lives with her mother and brother. She loves a boy, Kishore. She gets married to him, but this crisis, triggered by famine, changed her entire life. They have to move from their village to city, and she faced a lot of hardships. A policeman tried to seduce her, but she was timely saved. She was injured, you can say in the melee also. When she comes to know that Devat has started a hunger strike to stop the British recruiting their men in their army to fight the war, she too dropped the idea to adopt prostitution as a profession to earn her livelihood. She rather became a newspaper hawker and started a life of dignity. Kishore, who was her husband, he was killed by one of the British soldiers. So that also made the life of Kajoli a little bit difficult and tough. So in this novel, hunger has been described from different angles. The British has hunger for power. Samendra Basu has hunger for wealth. He wants to earn money. He wants to make profit out of the crisis. Devat and Rahul, they have a hunger for freedom. They want to make India a free land. They want that the British should go out of India, and they fight for the common man. This is a positive dimension of hunger that has been described by the novelist in this novel. The various other shades of hunger that has been described in the novel are primarily negative. So the evil never transcends, evil never triumphs over good, is what the writer tries to convey through this novel. And he says the intellectual class has a big role to play, and Rahul plays a very important role when he comes to know that people are migrating from villages migrating from villages to cities because they don't have any food to eat. He, you can say, jumps into the arena and extends his helping hand to the poor people. On the other hand, the greed of Samindra Basu has to be described, and it comes to the fore when he persuades his son to invent a bomb which could help the British to win this war. We can well imagine the evil that has made a permanent place in the mind of Samindra Basu. So the manifestation of evil through the character of Samindra Basu is also one of the dimensions of hunger. So this novel is a moving story of the poor villagers who are rocked badly by the man-made famine. The British brought crops and boats of the poor villagers with a promise that the government will come to their rescue when the need arises. And secondly, they build up a narrative that they are fighting their war, they are fighting against the dictatorial regimes to establish democracy in the world. The people were taken in, they sold their crops and boats, and when they ran out of the provisions, the British government didn't come to their help and they were left to fend for themselves. So that led to their death, and millions of Bengalis, poor Bengalis, who were living in villages, they die like flies and they were uprooted from their native place. So it's a moving story, it brings tears and also reflects that greed has always led to destruction. Thank you very much.